All right. Now we are learning the speech of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, which he gave in 1992. In this week's Torah portion, Parshat Bo. And here he's explaining, here we can just read the Rebbe is explaining the novelty, the uniqueness of our generation more than any of the generations before, that our generation is the one that we have to spread out Hasidut more than all the others and actually bring the Moshiach in the world. Here we go. So this week's Torah portion is called Parshat Bo. Parshat Bo is the Torah portion that has, first of all, the last three plagues. The last three plagues. It has the plague of darkness in it, and the plague of the firstborn. The plague of the firstborn is the last plague. And it also has the commandment to make the Pesach offering, the Passover offering. The Jewish people had to take a lamb or a goat and to sacrifice it in a certain way and to cook it in a certain way and to eat it in a certain way, everybody in their family together. And after they did this was the commandment, the first action commandment given to every single Jew, the first commandment that every Jew did. Before that, there was the commandment of counting the months, but that was for the court, the grand court to make. So there's every Jew ate from the, and then they went out of Egypt. This is the preparation for going out of Egypt. Next week they go out of Egypt. Tzivu Hashem Moshe, come bo and Paro. Come to Paro. Bo means to come to Paro. Hu hatchala. This is the beginning. B'shema, and the name. Shel Parsha, on this Torah portion. Shemedubar, that is spoken about the redemption of the Jewish people, the pull actually from going out of Egypt. Like it says, in that very day, God, all the Jewish people went from Egypt. So actually talking about going out of Egypt actually begins here in this week's Torah portion, after the plague of the firstborn. So the Jewish people left Egypt, going out of Egypt. Meretz Rab al Tzivotam. Right, next week it talks about the splitting of the sea, and etc. Okay, the sea split 7 days after they left Egypt. So the actually talking about the actual going out, the beginning of going out of Egypt was here. Okay, as we talked about before, this is very bizarre. I mean, this is the basis of Judaism. The basis of Judaism is that God revealed himself to all the people. Judaism has a few things that it claims. Let's say you don't believe in the whole thing, it's not so, but Judaism has a few claims that aren't found in any other religion or group or philosophy or nation or race or whatever you want to call it. First of all, there's the idea of exile. The whole entire nation was exiled. They were all slaves, all of them slaves, and they all got out of slavery in one day by amazing miracles. This is not found anywhere else. Even science fiction books, you don't get a thing like this. God took all the Jews out of Egypt on one day. Now, this is totally unnecessary. All the other religions, and they're very successful, they have billions of followers. One person came and he said, I have the new message, and everybody says, okay. He had a little bit of troubles in the beginning, and then he overcomes them. Now he's got billions, millions, hundreds of millions of followers. Right? Judaism, we also had Abraham. Who could be greater than Abraham? Isaac, Jacob. No, God said, no, you got to go into Egypt. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they began the religion, but that's not it. You have to all of a sudden, stuck in the middle of this thing is the Jewish people all in Egypt, and they all got out of Egypt, and there was big miracles, and they got the Torah. Why is this necessary? So the answer to that is because the job of the Jewish people, one of the jobs of the Jewish people is to go out of Egypt. To remember that even right now, as long as God is not revealed to everyone in the world, everyone feels their creator and worships only their creator. We're in Egypt. And it's all because of the Jews. If the Jews go out of Egypt, then the whole world goes out. So this is like a practice run. This is the, how do you say, the ideal, going to university. In university, they work on, you want to be a doctor, they work on cadavers. Going out of Egypt is, so to speak, healing the world is like going out like a cadaver. Seeing what's going on, the work on animals, something like that, because the future redemption that's going to be when we go out of the world is going to be so amazing. We're going to realize that working on it, it's like the difference between working on a dead person and a live person. Nevertheless, the working in Egypt, I don't know if that's such a good example, but I just made that up. Nevertheless, the going out of Egypt is a practice run for what we're supposed to do now and what we're supposed to be always remembering we always have to be doing. So that's why we're learning about this whole business with the 10 plagues and the splitting of the sea. And there's this, which, like I say, if you want to make a religion, all this stuff is unnecessary. Not only is it not necessary, but to show you that it's our job to go out all the time, we see that after all this, it didn't do any good. Right? God did all these miracles, 210 years in captivity, and the Jews got out, and big miracles, amazing miracles, and they received the Torah. God revealed himself, and everyone saw it, and there's revelation from heaven. No other religion has a thing like that. Everybody saw everybody, all the this, whatever religion is, they don't even make a claim like that. But that they also, but the most amazing thing is it didn't work, right? 40 days after they received the Torah, they thought that Moses wasn't going to come back, and they all worshiped the golden calf, exactly the opposite of what God told them to do. They heard God say, don't worship, and they all worship. Why? Because the whole idea of receiving the Torah is you have to do it yourself. That's what we learned in the Mimer just now. You have to make yourself into a holy temple. The rabbis can't do it for you. The Moshiach can't do it for you. Moses can't do it for you. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they can't do it for you. You have to do it yourself. That's the whole point of going out of Egypt. Okay, here we go. So this week is talking about going out of Egypt. On that day, the Jewish people, they left Egypt. But Mekivan, since Shekala Parsha, that the whole Torah, this whole section about reading of going out of Egypt, is called by the name of Bo, come into Paro. God says, Bo, come with me to Paro. If you do it like it's known that the name of the Torah portion, this indicates on the content of that Torah portion is moving. It's understood that Bo el Paro, that what God says to Moses, come with me to Paro. This must have some, and the whole Torah portion is talking about going out of Egypt. The title of it is Bo el Paro. This title must indicate, it must be attached to and show what's the content of this Torah portion and the whole idea of going out of Egypt. The whole idea of the Jews getting out of Egypt can be summed up in 3 words. Come into Paro. Why? Come to Paro. In other words, no savlakach, in addition to the fact, shekol priyotei shlichuto, that all of the details of the mission of Moshe to Paro was a preparation for going out of Egypt. There's also added on, but Nogea, the Boel Paro, there's also something more. That we get out of Egypt is something, but what's this thing about coming into Paro? Why is that so special? Why is it the name, the title of going out of Egypt? Because this is the beginning and the name of the Torah portion, which talks about redemption from Egypt. But notice of the kach, in addition to this, Hatchala, this is in the beginning, Hane'amaras, which we talked about before, and not there's no forward, anything before it. This is a commandment on itself of God to Moshe. But Yomer Hashem Moshe Bo El Paro, come. God said to Moses, come to Paro. And it doesn't say any more. Just come to Paro. This is a preparation for the future redemption and the beginning of actual going out of Egypt. We have to learn about this. We have to learn from this. What's it mean? We'll see. But nevertheless, we have to first of all understand how important this thing is of coming into Paro. Somehow or other, this is somehow or other the essence of the identity and the purpose of the Jewish people. Going out of Egypt, fixing up the world. First, you got to first of all come to Paro. And even more, Alpia, you do it's known, Shiatzid, Mitzrayim going out of Egypt. This is the beginning. And this is the opening up. This is the door to all of the redemptions that will come out afterwards, including the future redemption. Now, I think it's no secret, maybe it is, the Jewish people, they didn't just leave Egypt. They were put into other exiles. The first temple was destroyed, and the Jewish people went into exile for 70 years into Babylon. Almost all the Jews were taken into Babylon, the whole nation. And then after that, the Jews returned from Babylon, and they built the second temple. And in the second temple, there was also the exile when the Greeks took over. Remember the whole story of Hanukkah? Greeks took over everything also. That was a sort of an exile. Some people don't count that as one of the exiles. But then after that, there came the Rome, right? The Edom, Rome. And the Romans came and they destroyed the second temple. And now we're in the exile of Rome. And on that it says that we have to go out of these exiles also. And within the exile of Rome, which has been for almost 2,000 years now, we have our individual exiles, each and every person on his own. All the different solutions, right? Empty solutions that the Jews have developed through the generations. Also different types of exile. Gulatida, the future redemption. Like it says, this refers to also going out of our exile that we're in now, and we're going to go out. That's like it says, the prophecy, the well-known prophecy in Micha, prophet Micha, which says, like the days of going out of Egypt, I will show you miracles. The future redemption will be like the going out of Egypt, but that'll be real miracles when we go out. When we can say the ball Paro coming to Paro, the beginning of going out of Egypt. This is a preface to the future redemption, to all the redemptions, but especially the future one that we're waiting now, which that's it. There's not going to be any more exile after that. It won't be possible. That's what we're working on right now, me and you. And we have to understand the connection to Baal Paro. I mean, the fact is we are all reincarnations. So we've been working on this in previous generations as well. But hopefully this is the last one. And this idea of going into Paro, coming to Paro, is Geula, the connection between this idea of going into Paro, which was 3,300 years ago, to the future redemption, which is supposed to be right now. The Lichor, at first glance, it's a different content. Boel Paro, the idea of coming to Paro, is more that shows that Paro is Nimsa B'Tokef, that Paro is very strong. And Moses, he has to come to him, he's Dakek, and Moses needs Paro. Until Shaparo, Amarlo, Behemshech Parsha, and Pharaoh says to Moshe, get out of here. Lech me alai. You better watch out. Al Tosef Lirot Panai. You better, if I ever see you again, I'll kill you. That's what Paro says. Right? God says, come with me into Paro, and everything's going to be okay. Moses goes with God into Paro, and Paro says, who are you? Get out of here. Exactly the opposite of going out of Egypt. The whole thing is supposed to be to negate Paro, to get free. Let's say to go out of Egypt. So the name of the Torah portion seems to indicate exactly the opposite of any sort of redemption. The name of the Torah portion is indicating that Paro is strong. and then Moses needs him. And then Moses had to go into Paro and to beg him, to threaten him, to who knows what. And Paro is not affected at all. Paro says, who are you? What are you talking about? Get out of here. So if so, Boral Paro is not really such a very encouraging message. What's it got to do with redemption? If so, this is the opposite of going out of Egypt, and to negate the power of Paro, and by means of this to be free, and to go from Paro. This Torah portion is talking about how Paro is powerful. Say something about one of the later ones about the talking about how the God smit the Egyptians with the last plagues or something. Going into Paro is showing that we got to be afraid of Paro. It even says in the Zohar that Moses was afraid. And that's why God said, come with me to Paro. But even so we can understand, what is the whole idea of coming into Paro? Calling in the Torah, everything in the Torah is eternal. So automatically, it must be an eternal teaching for all the generations. Alpiz, according to this, what is the teaching, the eternal teaching of Boral Paro, that we should, God is saying, come to Paro. After, nowadays, now, Shebitlu v'nitzchu, we already negated and we defeated Paro, Melech Mitzrayim. We left Egypt. We already left Egypt. Why are we learning about this every year? Enough. We should go into Paro. Allah has come. What's more so after the future? I'm sure after the future redemption, Gula Mitit V'Shlema, Ruach Hatuma V'Yamin Oretz, when it says that there won't be any more evil in the world, Lo Nishar Shum Roshim, there won't be any even trace of Paro. Something like this, at the end of our exile. Moshiach will come and we won't have to do any more work of Paro. So why put this thing and go to Paro? Why is it an eternal message in the Torah? What's it coming to teach us? We'll already be free from Paro. Yesh Lomar, we have to say, Shabir is like this, according to what it says, Olam. How you do it? What's no Shakal in Olam, everything in the world, Afilu Dvarim Sheim Hepech, even the things which are the opposite of good and holiness, Yeshbem Shorish, they have a source in holiness. Right? We learned about Lavan as a source, even Bilam. Bezel, that's what it means, the source in holiness, Amiti Tenyanim. Everything is being created by God, right? Everything is good. So everything essentially is good. So everything has a source in holiness. As it is in this world, it can be totally evil. But if we can get to the source of this, why God is creating this thing, then we can see something good. Everything essentially is good, but after it comes down into the world with many descents and coverings, with a lot of concealments and veils, halamas, like we said, hiding and concealment, this good, which was the source, and there comes something that can be not good. Okay, and similarly, it's also with Paro. It says in the Zohar, on the sentence, kol nishma beit Paro. It says the voice was heard in Paro. This is with Yosef. Beit Paro, the house of Paro, this is simanecha la'ela. This is a very, very high thing. Beta de et pariu v'itgalu minei kol honor. This is the house from which is paria, means to be revealed, opened up. V'itgalin and shown minei, from it kol nahorim, all of the lights v'kol butzinim, and all of the, how do you say, flame of godliness. Paro is the source of all holiness, because the word paro means to be revealed. Priya. Everything that was concealed, mitaman, from there, Itkali is revealed. This is Aramaic. Therefore, Kodesh Baruch Hu, God, Afik Kol Nahorin, he brings out all of the lights, Vakala Butzin, and all of the, how do you say, flames of godliness. Begin in order, the Naharahu, that there should be illuminated that voice, the Ikri call below Vav. Call, it says the sound of Yosef and his brothers was heard all over Egypt. It says it's written call without a Vav. What does that mean? It says Miparo, that's the source. Vav means what's drawn down. Comes down, a Vav. And the call, the voice, that's the source before it gets drawn down. That is all the lights and the revelations of godliness that come into this world. They come from the source, which is called Paro. Paro, from this level of Paro, the Shorsho Kedusha in its holy place, its source and holiness, in the Pri of Agiloi, namely revelation of godliness. From that, Mishtalshel comes down in this world, Paro, evil, Bakal Tokful, B'la'umazeh. So what do we see? That Paro in this physical world is totally bad, but in fact he has a source which is tremendously high, and only Moses was even afraid of it. But nevertheless, that's the source of all revelation. According to this, now we can understand what it means when God says come to Paro. He's talking about come to Paro in its source, in his holiness. That's why God had to do it. Moses already went to Paro a lot of times. We saw the whole in the beginning. Right? Before there was any plagues and anything, Moses went into Paro and he said to Paro, let my people go, let my people go, they're going to serve me. He was already by Paro. All of a sudden, it's a big novelty. Moses went to Paro, tell him to live. He already was there 8 times, 9 times, tell him to leave, telling Paro, you better watch out because there's going to be a plague, there's going to be lice, there's going to be whatever is blood, there's going to be. So what's the novelty over here? Here the novelty is that God is saying, I'm going to take you to the source of Paro. B'shorsha b'kedusha, holiness. And the Zohar, in our Torah portion, Mevared explains what it means come to Paro. Kifishahu b'paro lamata. He's talking about Paro as it is below. God told Moses, let's go into this person called Paro. Makativ bo Paro. What does it say? Come to Paro. Lechel Paro meboile. That's what it says in the Zohar. God should have said to Moses, go to Paro. What do you mean come to Paro? Ma bo, what does it mean come? But God took him, Moses, he went with Moses. Idrin Basar Idrin, chambers after chambers. Lagabi Tanina Chada, regarding a big snake. Ila'a Tekifa, which is powerful, the Kal Dargin of all levels. Mishtal Shlimine, and everything comes from it. Mani, what is this secret of the big snake? That's the Manu. What is this? It's the secret of the big snake. Huh? Well, Moshe Dachil, Moses was afraid in it. Below Karev, and he didn't want to come close. Only to these, to the river. The Inun Dargin, and these levels delay of it. He could only come, not the river, to the lights, maybe. It could be the lights. Moses could only come to these levels of these lights which come from it. Of a legabe, to come to the source of this great, what's called the great serpent. This is the same thing as Paro. He was afraid. Below Karev, he didn't come to Moab with the Chamale because he saw Mishtarsha B'Sharshin, because he saw it was too high. Even the Chama, since he saw Kodesh Baruch Hu, since God saw that Moses was afraid, V'shalichan mimenu acharinan la'ela lo yachlin lekarva legabe. And he saw that Moses was afraid, and therefore, and God couldn't appoint anyone else because no one else could go. Omer Kodesh Baruch Hu, God said, Hineni alecha, behold, alech Paro, melech Mitzrayim, hatani nagadol, behold, I will raise you up to Paro, this big serpent, harovitz betoch hayor, which that he crouches in the river. Kodesh Baruch Hu etzrich et gacha be karava. God had to make war with him and nobody else. Kamadat Amar, like it says, Ani Hashem, I am God. Okay, what's this Zohar talking about? Shebegalala Tokef, because of the power of the Etzem Aklipa Paro, because of the Now this is the bad of Paro. Hatani Nagadol, he's the great serpent. The Beito Ba'armon, when he's in his house and his palace of the king, that his source is a very high place. But nevertheless, Pachad Moshe, Moses was afraid to go into him. Therefore, God said, Lechel Paro, go to Paro, you should go alone. And I'm sorry, God did not say, Lo Omar, I skipped the word. God did not say, go to Paro. Elo Bo Paro. God said, I will come with you. Yekanis Paro will go into Paro. God went together with Moshe. El Panemius to the essence of the evil of Paro. Adrian Bater Adrian, like it says, the chamber after chamber. Chedrin lifnei chedrin. B'chedei, in order to kavsha legamri, in order to conquer him totally. According to this, we're going to have to stop here. We have to understand. Ma'u pirish bo Paro. What does it mean? Come to Paro Kedusha. 1 second. First, we said that Paro was very holy and it's the source of all. Now in the Zohar, it says, no, Paro was really evil. And he was so evil that Moses was afraid to go. It was so destructive and powerful. Moses was afraid to go. He figured that would be his last trip. He would go, he would never come back. How is this? We said before the opposite. We said that the source of Paro was from him, has revealed all the lights. Benogea Paro the Kedusha, that's the holy aspect of Paro. Why was Moses afraid? That Moses was afraid to go into Paro alone. That he was afraid of the Kodesh Baruch Hu that he needed that God would say, Boel Paro, come with me into Paro, and go in there together. So once again, is Paro bad? Is Paro good? Paro is destructive, or Paro is? It seems opposite in the Zohar. The Rebbe is going to explain. Take it easy. Yeshlomo, we can say it like this: Paro of holiness, is such a high level of godliness. Whether the essence of the revelation, and revealing all of the lights, including the lights and all the levels which are the highest, all the levels and all the flames, whatever, ad and kill, kol mad the have satim, everything that was concealed, it becomes revealed. That's what we said before. Good, but often there's pariu. It's in a way, not only is it revealed, but it's revealed as pariu. It's revealed lashon parua. Now, the word Pharoah means to be open, but Pharoah also means to be wild. Beli Seder, without any order. This is above any sort of organization, any sort of level. Even more than this, as Pariu Vesgalin Minei Kolinahorim, there is revealed all of the lights of God's essence. Ubalashon Zohar, like the language of the Zohar, Beit Paro, the house of Paro, Beta the Pario, the house from which is revealed all the lights. Kodesh Baruch Hu, God himself, brings out all these lights, levels of reality, spirituality, godliness, if you want to call it. But he brings it out in a house. Dimsa Melech, that's where the king is found, in a revealed way in all of his essence. Shekain, or who mitzaratzmo, the light itself is limited. It has to be shining from one place to another. Called darga, every level of light is drawn down in some sort of an order. The tziyuro v'gilu prati, that it has a form. The light is the light of Atzilut, the light of this, just the language of light, right? It's green, it's blind. A person can't see clearly, so he just sees everything is all unconfused. It's confused. The light doesn't do any benefit to him. Only when light is defined. But what about the source of light itself? It's almost like a king, right? You have a king. The king, he's the source of all good. But the king, right? Because the king is above everybody. The king he tells everything what to do. But what about the king himself? There's nobody over the king. The king is no one over the king. That's why it says about Moshiach, he's going to be a person that the only person that's over him is God. He's the only person. But except for that, no one tells him what to do. But God does tell him what to do. But what about God himself? Right? Let's take this physical king, the king himself. Right? Napoleon, Havdil. It was great, wonderful. Everybody loved him. It was this. But what about him personally himself? Right? Who was limiting what he did? Says, there was nobody above him. Says that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the essence, the source of everything. Revelation, what comes below, is arranged, it's organized. So it's understood, but if you want to reveal all of the lights of God and everything that was concealed, and also in a way of Esperio, that is totally revealed above any sort of limitation, so now you're messing with trouble here. It's like going to the, if electricity is good, the powerhouse that gives electricity is good. So let's say it gives electricity to New York. So why take a little bit of electricity? Let's go to the powerhouse itself, the source. That's dangerous. The same thing, all the good that comes from God, all the revelations, you want to get all of it? That comes from the essence of God. There's nothing above him. This is the source of all the lights. In the language of the Zohar, Etzem, the Paro, this is the essence of Paro. Kamadargim, there's many levels that come from it. And together with this, the Makor Kazeh, which is above totally any sort of order. So we can say on one hand that it's tremendously powerful. On the other hand, we can say it's tremendously destructive. Lochin, therefore, Misgalim, there is revealed from it all of the lights, all of which was concealed, in a way that there will be Esperio. So now we can understand why Moshe was afraid, why Moshe didn't want to go in. Because Moses saw how this revelation of Paro, of holiness, is rooted b'shorshim elyonim. It's a tremendously high source. He was afraid to go into Beit Paro. Because in the source it was good, but it was too much good. Bo yeshno gilui etzem. There's the revelation of the essence of Paro, of holiness. Shekain nivra v'mugbal. There it's Shekain nivra mugbal, because a limited creation like Moses was a soul and a body, can't receive such lights like that. This was also before the Torah was given, right? It says when God revealed his essence at Mount Sinai, it says everybody died, it was too much. This is the source. There's Periu v'izgalim minei kol nehorim. There's revealed all these lights. How can Moses possibly go into such a place that's so good? But Gilan, that should be revealed in a way that's without any limit. How could it possibly be? This and more we'll talk about, God willing, tomorrow. Now let's do the Yom Yom. Yom Yom for today.